Hi, Steve again from Nova Kitchens. Just a quick video on how to use our free online planner. It is best to use a tablet or even better a desktop PC. You can however use a mobile phone, but it won't be as easy to navigate as with a tablet or a desktop PC. Essentially it is a basic drag and drop. You'll be dragging kitchen units into the room sizes that you've already taken. We have got another video on that if you want to double check on the best way to measure your room. And the idea is that you're not narrowing down door colours, door styles, worktops, etc. We're getting the layout on your kitchen design as close as you want it to be. So heights of units, if you're looking for tall cabinets, specifics on cornice styles, etc. That's what we'll take care of. If you've filled in our online design form prior to using the designer, we would have already asked you quite a few questions on the colour and the style that you're looking for. Feel free to have another go at it if you've just skipped through to have a quick play with the online planner. We would recommend it. It just means that we can add our magic, put the correct colours and styles in and the right material of worktop, and obviously quote it accordingly. You're going to get, from using the online planner, high definition images, a full 3D walk around, and obviously the quote. So don't be too concerned on how the online planner looks when you've finished. We're going to work our magic, and that's where you get all of the HD images and the 3D walk around before we go on to doing things like revisions. So onto the online planner, first thing you're presented with is selecting the shape of your room. If you're just keeping it simple, then obviously just click on the shape that represents how your kitchen layout is. Just for continuity, if you have seen the how to measure your room video, we'll just go on to the custom because that was putting in quite a lot of detail. We're starting with the ceiling height. Obviously it is important if you're looking at things like tall cabinets, we need to know that so that we know the exact heights of cabinets that we can put in for you. So it is a bit like the virtual graph paper where we are just clicking around and making the shape. So when we first click on, don't worry too much about the overall measurements that you see on the screen there. I would be going across, and let's say like on the last one we had a soil stack and we carried along like so, and then we'll finish off there for the room. We can then go back and change all of the details. So on the left hand side here you'll see the wall width. If I want to change this 1200, we'll just click that corner to the left of it and it's highlighted in red, and we can just change that to whatever it needs to be. Then you'll see that it kicks the other bit of wall out of square. We can then just select this corner and pull it back in. Keep doing that all the way around to put your correct measurements in, working from left to right. Let's say this 1100 one we want to change, and it was 1400, and we can do that. And again, we're just going to pull that back so it's square, and then we'll carry on around the room. For the sake of the rest of the planet, we'll just keep it simple with a rectangle shape room, which we'll go through now. Okay, we've selected rectangle as a room shape, and we're just going to design a quick kitchen together. We probably want to change the room shape that's allocated already. So on the left-hand side here, we can change the measurements, which is the room width, the room depth, and then importantly, the ceiling height as well. So if we change that to, let's say 4.5 meters, remember all measurements are in millimeters. That's how it is always going forward when we're referring to different things to do with the kitchen. And then we'll have that at 3.5 meters or 3,500 millimeters. Make sure the ceiling height is in correctly. That always helps. If we're having any taller cabinets, we need to know exactly what height we can go to. And then we'll just click on next. Gives you some information, just saying drop and drag for the windows and the doors. Let's say we've got a window on this back wall here. We can select window and we'll literally drag that in and we can move it along. Once we dropped it, we can't click on it again to drag and move it. The choice is, you can see on the left-hand side of the window how the measurements increases and decreases. You can do that until it's accurate and then release to drag that in. And on the left-hand side, again, we can change the aspects of it. Let's say the window is 1800 millimeters, and we know from the measurements we've taken down, it isn't 1322. It's actually 1238. Let's say that's what it is there. Height of the window. Again, all of these are quite important. If we're measuring and quoting for quartz and we're putting upstand and splashbacks, this is how we calculate the distances that we need, and obviously the height off the ground as well. Moving on to a door, obviously you've got all these options here. Don't worry too much again about making it as accurate as how your window looks. It's more about the kitchen layout, as I'll probably keep saying throughout the video. Let's say we've got a door in this corner here. And again, we can move it along to where we want to, drop it in, and let's just say that is 920. Again, we can move the distance along the wall. That distance along the wall is always to the left of the item you've just dragged in. So you can just see there 2413, and we can change that if we want to, but I'm happy with that, so I'm done. Navigation is really straightforward. If you are on a PC and using a mouse, then zooming in and out is holding on right click, and you can just pull forward, pull backwards to zoom in and out, hold down left click, move your mouse around, and that will move you around where you need to. If you get a bit lost, if you get zoomed in somewhere and like here, you don't know where you are, on the top right hand side here, you'll see fit to screen. If you give that a click, it'll just reset, and away you go. You can start moving about wherever you need to. Next, we'll have a look at the 3D, which is on the top right hand corner here. If you give that a click, it splits the screen into two. Left hand side is your bird's eye plan, and the right hand side is a 3D view. Using a mouse, you can obviously scroll about. It'll be the same with a tablet or your mobile, but it'll just be very difficult to view the two on the mobile or tablet. You have got two options on the top here. The first one on the left just makes the 3D full screen. It's easy to navigate. If you're on a tablet or mobile, that'll be just a little bit easier. And then the one with the camera item in is an elevation of all the walls. So you've got arrows on either side, and that will just click through each of the walls. And when we put cabinets in, you'll just be able to see how you've got them laid out. We'll just go back to 3D, and I want to see the plan. Just to give you an example, if we quickly drag a cabinet in, we always drag the cabinet into the bird's eye view plan. We don't drag it into the actual 3D. You can see that it's popped it in, and we can move around. Again, on a computer, the scroll on your mouse will zoom in, also on the keyboard. Also on the keyboard, you can move around using W for forward, A and D for left and right, and you can use Q and E to go up and down. When you are in the room and you're looking to navigate around like this, you need to click either the floor or a wall that hasn't got a cabinet on. If you select the cabinet and try and drag and move, you'll wonder why it's not working. And that's because when you click a cabinet, it will bring the details up on the left-hand side and it highlights it so you know that that's what you've selected. So actually moving around the 3D viewer, you need to click and drag on the floor or a wall that hasn't got a cabinet on. We'll get rid of that cabinet for now. And that was just to show you how to use that. We'll come back to that once we put a few more cabinets in. I like to plan just with the bird's eye view, dragging and dropping it in, and then I'll just switch to the 3D to make sure everything's in properly. We've put the windows and doors in that we want to, and we're going to click on furniture, move us along, and shows us all the different cabinets that are available. With this particular column, you can click on each one and have a little browse around, see what's available. The left-hand column here, you'll have a width filter. That means you can obviously click on, let's say you want an 800 wide cabinet, it will show you what's available. Do remember though, once you have clicked on 800 and then move on to another cupboard, let's say tool units, it will only show you what you last clicked on, which is the 800. You need to always click on all widths, and doing so brings up all the widths available within that category. Don't forget to click on all widths after you've previously selected a certain width that you're after with selecting the cabinet. This isn't a degree course in kitchen design at all. It's purely for you to have a play around with and see where you get to, bring some good ideas together. The design form that you've hopefully filled in previously, it's a good precursor to making you think about what type of oven and hob you want, what type of sink, etc. It puts you in the right mind frame for being able to design it as opposed to being completely cold. But either way, it doesn't matter. You can drag and drop whatever you need to and just use it to see what you can achieve. I tend to start in the corners with the base cabinets. We'll go on to a corner base. Again, it's only showing me the 500s because that's what I selected for the door last time. So I'm going to click on all widths and I'm going to put in a 800 wide cabinet with a 400 door on. And I know that I want the door on the left-hand side because when we drag that in, I want it to be on that's our side wall there. If you have trouble with it rotating, like it did do just then, just move it away, click off it and move back, and it will snap to the walls nice and neatly for you there. I've obviously got just a couple of years of design experience, so when I'm dragging cabinets in, I roughly know the widths of cabinets that should go in. But don't worry about it if you start dragging units in that are wrong. You can just delete them and change the size up or down by selecting the unit again. I know for this design, I'd like to have a tall fridge freezer and a tall oven next to each other. It's a nice thing to have. We'll go into tall units. And as you can see, we've got this big selection of all the units that are available. If I scroll down to fridges and freezers, I'll go for a 50-50 fridge freezer. We'll drag that into roughly where we want it to. It'll snap to the wall, and then you can see the measurements as we move up and down. At the minute, I wouldn't worry about it because you want to figure out what's going on in the middle. Pop it on the end. Again, we would then look at this and go, okay, you haven't got a filler. You do need a filler because of the door opening and being able to open freezer trays. That's where we kick in with the design knowledge and increase sizes of fillers if we need to, and then subsequent cabinets as we go along. We'll go on to a oven housing unit next. We'll go back onto tool units. Again, with the design form, if you clicked on you want a single oven and a microwave that's built in, you haven't got that option here. That's what we will take care of and call it post-production. For the sake of this, we'll put in a tall double housing unit, put it next to there. I know myself that because we're now going onto a worktop after this, I would like an end panel on the right-hand side here. If you didn't know that and you forget about it, either or, we would be, again, putting that in for you with our side of the kitchen design. If you wanted to go to that level of detail, though, we can see here we've got add end panels. We'll drop this down, and I want one on the right-hand side. You've also got the option to change the hanging of the doors, but I'll go through that when we have a look at the 3D view. We've got the units there. I would then like a hob in the middle of the run with some drawers underneath it. We'll go back to the selection for the cabinets. We'll go into drawer units, and I would say let's go for an 800 wide, nice wide drawer stack, and we've got a couple of options. Again, specifics here aren't too important. If I wanted a 3-drawer unit, fantastic. If I wanted a 2-drawer unit, but I wanted a hidden cutlery, it's not the end of the world. Just pop that in. You can add that in the information section after if you wanted to let us know about it, or we'd probably cover it on the video call with you anyway. But keeping it simple, we'll go for this 3-drawer unit, put it next to our corner cabinet, and then this tells me I've got 395, and we know that this corner cabinet is a 400 door. So it'd be nice to have another 400 door for a bit of symmetry on both sides. I'll move that out of the way just for now. We'll select base unit and 400 and insert that. We can then move them out of the way and just get them to drag and drop and connect all together as they snap in, as you can see. So that's that run done. You can click on the View 3D, go to full screen, see how you're getting along, and you've got a successful run of units there, and we can just exit 3D and carry on as we go. Sink, I generally want that in the middle of the window. Here's best practice. Doesn't happen all the time. Customers want different things, but in best practice with ourselves is we put the tap in the middle of the window where it can do. So we'll go into sink units. I want to see all items again. So it's not a particular cabinet I'm after. I want a floating sink, as we call it. That leaves me to then position it where I want to. And again, we're not being specific with whether it's a stainless steel or a composite or ceramic. It's either going to be a 1 bowl or 1.5 bowl. If you've selected on the design form that you wanted a Belfast sink, you have got options for that here. For example, let's say you wanted a stainless steel that's 1.5 bowl. Then if you put in a 1.5 bowl sink here, we would obviously change it in the plan so that it is stainless steel. We've roughly put that in the middle of the window. We want a cabinet underneath it. We'll go onto base units and let's roughly put a 1,000 sink base unit. You might want a hot tap, lots of space in there for the kettle, etc. And we've got that placed in, and then we've got some gaps to fill either side. I also want a tall larder unit, extra storage space at the very end there. It's not blocking any light, it's in the corner out the way. Let's go and select a larder. I'm stuck on 1,000 again, so I need to click on all widths. 450 larder. We'll just pop that in there for now. And then we'll have a look at the rest of the gaps here. Along with the sink, I want a dishwasher. So we can go across to appliances, click on a 600 integrated dishwasher, and we can drag that in next to the sink unit and see how that works. We can then gauge what we want to do either side. We can move cabinets along, we can add ones in where we want to, and if we get stuck with a gap because we've only got standard cabinets on here, then we'll cover that in a second because everything we do is made to measure. Let's say we just want another normal cupboard there. We'll go to base cabinets and I'll go for 900 base cabinet that we'll put in. That's snapped into place. I want to move the cabinets along. I want to put a set of drawers in at the end. I found them really useful, nice deep drawers, big pots and pans. We'll select what we want and move it across. If it is that you struggle to select something on here, because let's say the sink's in the way, you've got a couple of choices. We can move the sink out the way and then move the cabinet and move the sink back. The other option is if we go onto the 3D view, you can select the actual item that you want and then move it if it's in the way, which again, I will show you on a wall cabinet because that's sometimes where it happens the most. We've got the sink where we want to there, put it in the middle, dishwasher's next to it, snap that in place, and then I'm going to go for the wide set of drawers. Back to drawer units, we'll go for 800, and I do want them to be a 2-drawer unit this time, nice and big, and we'll pop that in. We've got a little gap here. Now on the larder unit, I know that I need an end panel on the left, so I'm going to go left hand for the panel, and we can just drag that across so it connects, and it's put us that filler piece in to the end there. Wall cabinets. Again, play around with the design. There's no right or wrong at this stage. Let's say I want the same size cabinet as above this one here. If we click on that, we know it's a 400 wide base cabinet. Let's go for a wall cabinet that's 400 as well. We'll go into wall units, all widths, and then a 400 cabinet. We'll drag and drop that in. I know that that would need an end panel to the right hand side. It would be nice again for symmetry because we've got 400 and a 400 either side. To do the same thing, we can click in insert another. If we click in insert another, we can drop that in. And again, I know that I would like an end panel on the left hand side. You've then got to fill the gap to the corner. Again, give it a couple of goes. You're not going to have to expect it to get it straight away. We can see that it's 60 centimeters, 600 millimeters. I'll go on to a corner wall unit because I want to come around with another wall cabinet. We'll go there, make sure I'm on all widths, and 600 with a 300 wide door. I'll drag that in, and that's filled the space beautifully. So again, we can check on the 3D view, see how the design's coming along. That's looking good. One of the options I would go through on the 3D designer, on the 3D view that you see here, is let's say this cupboard, you can see that handle's obviously in the wrong place. We can click on the cabinet itself and it selects it and it gives the options on the left-hand panel again here. Hinging, let's have it so it's left-hand hinged, changes the handle. Do the same for that wall one. Again, you don't have to do this at all. We'll take care of this in the design stage. And again, with that fridge freeze, it'd be a bit awkward to open against the wall. We'll have that hinging that way. Another useful feature of the 3D is if you are split view like this and you are struggling to select the wall cabinet like we are here because the base cabinet's underneath it, we can go on to the 3D and click it there, and that means we can edit it, delete it, and we can move it about because it's selected it from where we wanted it to be. Another useful tip, if you find that you are trying to select something in the bird's eye view plan, you can go onto the 3D planet and just click on it. Nice and straightforward. We'll move that back across. There we go, it's clicked in. We'll finish the wall cabinet. I wanted a cabinet there to maximize the space. We'll go to wall units, see what an 800 looks like, drag that in. That works fine. And it'd be nice again for a bit of symmetry if we had the same on this side. So we will insert another. There we go. And then we'll just go for the hob and the hood. Depending on what you've done with the design form, we would fill the correct appliances in. Again, I'm going to click all widths to make sure I've got the full view of everything. It's not an actual cabinet with an oven because we've got the oven in a tall unit. I'm going to scroll down and find the floating ones which are here. And I want an induction one. And we'll just pop that in. You can see the measurements either side, 99 and 101. Again, don't worry about getting that bang on in the middle. We'll take care of that for you. It's not essential for the sake of this planner. It's as accurate as you want it to be. And then finally, we'll just put a hood in. We'll go down to extractors. And again, if you have specified an angled black hood, or you want an angled black hood, you can add it in the notes on the end or through the design form, and we can do those changes for you. But for the sake of the designer, we just want to see an extractor and how it looks. And we'll just check it all on the 3D view. So we can give it a full screen, see how everything looks. Yep, cracking design, nice kitchen. It's ticking all the boxes for what we wanted. And then we can click the camera to check the elevation. We can then see different measurements of everything and how they would work. You've then got on the right-hand side, again, it's not something that you would particularly use in this scenario because we're providing you with the HD images and the colours that you want, but you can change the colours of units just to have a little play around and the different styles of the door, whether it's shaker or slab, etc. But again, I would leave it just completely plain. We're going to go off the colours that you will have selected for ourselves. Same with the floors and the worktop. You've got those customization options, but not necessary for what we're going to take care of for you. If it is that you have this has worked out great, obviously, with the size of the room and the standard size cabinets. If you've got an awkward space where, let's say, that standard base cabinet we've got doesn't fit and you're left with a gap, so let's delete that. And it's a really awkward gap, everything else fits in. What are you going to do? Well, everything we do is made to measure. All you need to do is either leave it blank and we'll fit a cabinet in for you, or go for the next size down. Let's say an 800 is going to fit in, but a 900 doesn't. You can leave it like that. Doesn't matter if there's a gap. We'll take care of that with a custom size cabinet or adjust corner posts and fillers to suit. Once you're done, it's just a simple case of clicking Finalize Plan at the top. Takes you through to just confirm your email address so we can marry it up to the design form if you filled one in. And then you can add some other information now that you've gone through the process.